I'm William Bartlett and you're watching Continuous Code. Devoxx Belgium 2019 is almost here. I know that some people are already on their way to Antwerp and I'm really excited to be going there this year. I'd like to share with you my top 10 most anticipated talks for this conference. Now, I cannot stress enough the amazing job that the organizers do in running the conference and in choosing the different talks. There are more than 100 amazing talks there, and so I've just selected just 10 of those. I know it's going to be very difficult for me to choose which conferences I want to go to, and some of them are at the same time, and so I'm going to have to catch up on YouTube later. But maybe this list will help you decide some of the talks that you'd like to go to. At number 10, I chose Your Program as a Transpiler, Applying Compiler Design to Everyday Programming. This talk is going to be given by Eduardo Vacci on Wednesday from 12 to 12:50 in room 9. Now, I don't like the word transpiler because I don't think it defines a particularly interesting subset of compilers, but I really like the idea of applying compiler design or certain compiler techniques to everyday programming. It's always interesting to find new ways to express solutions to different problems, and this will just be another tool to put in my satchel. At number 9, I chose What Happens After Your Startup is Acquired. This talk will be given by Renata Tomasi on Wednesday from 16:40 to 17:30 in room 3. Being part of a startup that was acquired a couple years ago, this topic speaks a lot to me. The transitions can sometimes be very difficult. Communication is an important aspect, I think, in these different transitions. And I'm curious to see what experience and advice Renata Tomasi will be sharing. At number 8, I chose Implementing a Simple JVM in Rust. This talk will be given by Ben Evans, scheduled on Wednesday from 1400 to 1450 in room 4. Now, not only am I a huge fan of both Java and Rust, but I'm also a fan of seeing how different languages can benefit each other. We don't have to continue operating in this illusion that choosing to develop an application in a specific language locks all the tools we use to be implemented in that language. I definitely like to see how Rust can benefit Java, but in a general sense, I think it's great to consider how combining several different programming languages, not only in different microservices, but also across our build tools, our automation tools, can really benefit us and give us the best of breed in each different domain. At number 7, I chose Back to the Future, How 80s Arcade Games Taught Me Clojure. This talk will be given by May Bessaran on Thursday from 10:40 to 11:30 in room 9. I love Back to the Future. I love a lot of 80s arcade games, and I'm starting to learn Clojure at the moment. In general, I love learning new libraries and languages, but it's sometimes tough when you're going through the tutorials. You kind of lose steam, and you can really benefit from having some real-world pretext to drive your exploration of the language. Sometimes I use coding exercises that are sent to me daily by email to try and learn new languages and to experiment with them. But I think this perspective, using some fun cases, is both cool and is going to be very useful. At number 6, I chose Clean Code, The Next Chapter. This talk will be given by Victor Rentea on Tuesday from 13:30 to 16:30 in room 8. I love Victor Rentea's work. A lot of his presentations are very funny but very poignant. I'll just quote you the first line of the description of this talk. Would you attach your last commit to your CV labeled sample? This is how I write code. This interests me as I'm rather dissatisfied with the way that CVs, resumes are used in our industry. I also like the fact that Victor Rentea, in his description, he says that he will compare different paradigms. We've got to stop thinking about all the paradigms as competing, but see them as different angles of attacking problems. And usually a problem has several solutions, but one of them is going to be more elegant in a specific paradigm. At number 5, I chose 7 tips to pimp your Git history. This talk will be given by Roland Weisleder on Tuesday from 1730 to 1800 in room 9. I really like what this talk seems to bring to the table, especially amidst the feuds between Git flow, GitHub flow, and trunk-based development. And I hope that this talk will give us some pragmatic views on the effects that different decisions as to how to handle Git history will have in the short term, but also in the long term. At number 4, I chose productivity tools that you should know about if you want to have a focused learning path. This talk will be given by Stijn Van Poek on Tuesday from 16:45 to 17:15 in room 8. This is kind of a meta conference. At the beginning of the description it says, after this conference you'll definitely have multiple topics you want to learn about. This is definitely going to be true, and when I come home from a conference I've got so many notes to go through and I'm trying to organize them to pass them on to my colleagues afterwards. And even without conferences, I'm always learning new things. People are passing me links to things to look at, and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming and very difficult to organize the order in which I'm going to look at these different links. So I'm really hoping that this talk will give me a few interesting tips. At number 3, I chose Developer First, a new leadership mindset. This talk will be given by Kate Warden on Monday from 13:30 to 16:30 in room 9. The way I see it, our industry is going through 3 major pushes. Let's not talk about technology, let's talk about the people in IT. Firstly, we're hiring more and more developers as computer programming is being applied to more and more domains. We're also pushing for more diversity so that our teams really reflect the user base that we're targeting. And finally, we're looking to structure, to organize our practices and have those practices be consistent across products and teams and companies. I really think that this mindset of being developer first is a key element to achieving these 3 pushes that we're going through at the moment. And I'm really excited to see what the speaker of this talk will give us. At number 2, I chose Usable Software for All. This talk will be given by Peter Eichinger and Anna Meyer on Wednesday from 13:30 to 13:35 in room 9. This talk is going to be about implementing accessibility and how the start is to make developers more aware of the accessibility issues and how we can implement solutions for them. I think this is a great issue at the moment. Even if you're not thinking about implementing accessibility in your own application, which you probably should be considering anyway, just this mindset of empathy and putting yourself in your user's shoes will go a long way to making any piece of software much more usable. At number 1, I picked a talk that I have already seen a couple times, but I really like. And it touches on a topic that is just so important. It's an issue that's been plaguing our industry for several decades, but we just have been going the wrong way about tackling it. And it's been bringing up many frustrations and many mishaps. But right now, we're in a state where a lot of people are talking about this issue, and I think we really have a chance to jump on the bandwagon and to push forward and to really make progress on solving it. This issue is diversity, and the talk is The Hitchhiker's Guide to Diversity, Don't Panic. It will be given by Audrey Neveu on Wednesday from 10 to 10:45 in room 8. And having seen this talk, I really must recommend it. Don't miss it, because it will give us some very simple keys to learning how to build better diversity and giving us the tools to learn about each other and to learn with each other. So instead of making these snide remarks or just being defeatist, we can actually have healthy discussions between the genders and also between different minorities so that we can understand the viewpoints of the other people and better include them in our teams and stop making those stupid mistakes that are driving them away. Definitely go to this conference on Wednesday from 10 to 10:45, and if you're not going to Devoxx Belgium, all these talks are going to be online, so there really isn't any reason to miss this one. So that's it for this list. If you're going to Devoxx Belgium, I'd love to chat regarding what talks you're excited about. And if you're not going, definitely check in on the live stream or catch up later on the YouTube channel. There are going to be tons and tons of great talks that will help us pick the right mindset and the right tools for the job.